Hi guys. How we doing? So I'm here today to give my new streamers, my old streamers, anybody that needs a refresher, a little bit of help as far as OBS, streaming, plugins, hotkeys, all that good stuff that I personally use that help me out a lot, save me some money too in the long run, and overall just make my stream better. So we are going to first start off with the differences between OBS and Streamlabs OBS. OBS is the open source version of Streamlabs OBS. Now, Streamlabs OBS is a great pair of software, but sometimes for certain people it does not work very well. In my case, the type of system I'm using, it seems like it happens a lot with Ryzen systems. I know a lot of people that have Intel-based systems actually don't have that much trouble with Streamlabs, but I'm one of the few, not the few, there's a lot of us that are actually having troubles with Streamlabs OBS. So I like Streamlabs. They have a great option of getting new streamers into good overlays, good practices that software provides. But they are quite limited, I do have to say. Now, with limited, I do mean that there's quite a few options, such as heavy amounts of plugins that Streamlabs OBS does not allow that the original OBS does. Mind me, both of these pairs of software are continuously updated, so it's not like it could change here in a little bit. Streamlabs OBS could pop open with new functionality to be able to run the original OBS plugins, so be prepared for that. So what I'm going to start off with is actually showing you a plugin that I personally use that saves me money. I was one of the people that started using Restream. Don't do it. For one, it costs quite a bit of money. Quite a bit. And if you're already paying for internet, you're paying for the games, you got all this equipment that you just purchased and you're just getting into this stuff, you don't want to pay $49.99 to be able to unlock a couple extra slots to be able to stream on your Facebook page or a specific YouTube. So with this plugin, I will definitely be able to show you a new world. Let me divert to the next screen. Now this is OBS's website, and this is their resource page, and this is where you find the plugins. Specifically, if you search multiple RTMP outputs plugin, you get this guy. Now this guy is quite different than what it shows pictured here now. It's more integrated. It's an actual dock. And it's more like what you see in the background of this. This little pop-up only happens when you're adding a new target. And I'll show you the functionality of this in just a moment. So to download this guy, it does have a download link, and it is GitHub. A lot of this stuff is open source plugins. People are working on them just for fun. They're not trying to get anybody to pay them for it. It's literally to help streamers. So once you click on that link, it's going to take you to a GitHub page. Now, most people think of GitHub and they're like, ooh, experimental. Do I want to touch it? But don't be afraid. This is a very updated plugin, and it is by Sorayuki. And I'm not sure if that's a male or a female, but I'm going to go with female. Maybe somebody just blocking their name, because what they are doing in this plugin is actually taking away from Restream's ideology of an RTMP server. And it's slowly making them lose money. But at the same time, it's really not. So many people use Restream in those restreaming services. This is not going to phase them. So this is a Windows only plugin, mind me. So you will have to install this on a Windows machine. Once you download it, it will pop open. Down here, of course, after you click it, I've already downloaded it, so I'm just going to pop open the download zip folder for you guys and show you what's in there. So once you get in there, this is what pops up. I use WinZip to unzip my folders, ISOs, all that. Very good piece of software that's free. Yeah, it does have a paid version, but you don't need to pay for it. So these two folders are in certain places on your computer. Now, for me, they weren't where I thought they would be. So this spot is going to be different. It's wherever you installed your original OBS software files. So say you installed it as an app and not a program, it's going to be an app data, which is %, app data, %, when you're in a Finder window, or whatever you want to call it, a files manager, the files manager, I'm sorry. When you're up here, this is where you type that %, app data, %, and then it's going to bring up all of your stuff. OBS Studio's in here, then plugins config. Oh wait, that's not it. See, this is just the pure app data. See, like I already forgot where it is on my computer. It may be in C, program files. Not that one. Maybe in the other program files. Let's see. See, there's Streamlabs OBS, and then should be OBS Studio right there. So OBS plugins, and then depending on, let's see, I'm just getting all, just drag and drop these into this folder. Sorry, my brain is running 1,000 miles per minute when I'm doing this. So once you drag them there, restart OBS, and then it'll be in OBS. So let's close out of here, and let's actually show you OBS. So mine's down here in the corner, but I want to show you how to activate it. Once you get this plugin, you got to go into View, Docs, and then it's going to be in a multiple output, and you'll be able to check it on, and then it'll pop up down here. Let me reposition my camera real quick and show you how this thing works. So this is the plugin. You're going to click Add New Target, and this is where you put your server information. So say you have a Twitch stream key, Facebook stream key, YouTube stream key. This is where you put it. And you do not want to change any of these settings down here, because of the settings I'm going to show you how we set up here in just a second. You want it to get from OBS, because if you change it to something different, it's going to be pulling off your CPU. And if you're pulling too much while you're trying to stream out, you may be bottlenecking your CPU and or GPU, and you don't want to do that. So for there, just hit OK, and then it pops up down here. To activate this action, you have to hit Start Streaming, then Start. With Facebook, of course, you have to go to the Facebook page and enter the all the stuff and then go live. Twitch, you don't have to. And I don't believe on YouTube you have to either. You just have to set up the like description and the title separately. Say you like have a planned stream. If you have a planned stream and you start it at that time, YouTube knows what the title should be. From there, that's pretty much it on that. So I am going to show you the settings of OBS now. Now this is mind me for somebody that is running a computer that is very similar to me or has the same type of internet, slow upload speeds. That is who this is for. Somebody that can't really afford getting gigabit Ethernet up and down, because I can't. It's almost $300, and between me and my dad, we don't need it that much. Eventually, I will up my upload speeds because I need it. I'm starting to bottleneck like crazy now, so I'll get it there. I have a gigabit Ethernet card in my computer, as well as my router can sustain up to 750 megabytes per second. So I can get damn close to gigabit Ethernet. But you're really never going to get there. About 500 up, 500 down is perfectly fine until future time comes on to where the servers that these websites that we're on start upping their power up. Most servers that host websites and whatnot aren't going over gigabit Ethernet. You're going to get a replay rate at maybe 200 megabytes max for these easy going websites. So I'm saying that internet speeds for a certain reason. And that will be explained in the output section right here. So we're first going to start off, and I'm going to explain to you why I use Twitch first. I use Twitch as my onboard out. So I'm logged into Twitch here. It's logged into my closest server, and I have no add-ons because I don't need Twitch add-ons. That way, when I hit start stream, it goes straight to Twitch, and the chat starts working over here. Now, when you are multi-streaming, you will need to pull your chat boxes up, either with it being on like a tablet or on another computer, or pull up another web browser. If you got multiple monitors, this is where this pays off. Now, this Facebook chat, though, this Facebook chat is done through a URL. And once you start streaming, it pops open in your chat box and it gives you a little pop-out feature to be able to blow it up and get to this URL that you need. So when you're in Docs and you go into custom browser docs, this is how you make it one. So their URLs start with business, Facebook, -gaming, streamer, chat, and then your page ID. And that's how you get it there. And when you hit apply, pop open right there as a web browser. And it is very resizable. It forms to OBS. It's a little bit cut off, and I hope they fix that. But that's with OBS themselves. It's not condensing the page entirely. So let's go back into the settings. Now we're going to be focused on the output. This is the important stuff. This is where you need to watch what you're doing. Don't be fudging around in here unless you know what you're doing or have somebody recommend them, or you've gotten to the point where you know how to test how much you can push. So before I do this, I'm going to explain the video section, the output and scaling, because that will reference what this means right here in the rescale output. So your base canvas is going to be your monitor resolution, or how much you can actually push out. And then you want to change your scaled output to what the server is you're sending it to can handle. When you're an affiliate, you can only run 720. That's it. Facebook affiliate, YouTube affiliate, Twitch affiliate, they're stuck at 720. Until you hit that partnership status is when you can hit 1080 full resolution at 60 frames. Now, once you set those, it will use a little bit more resources, but you don't want to make your canvas size smaller, because if you do have people that blow their screen up, it's going to dumb down the quality, and you don't want to do that. Now, you want it to run more samples to give it the best quality it can when it's sending out. And that's why you do the downscale filter Landscos, and that's 36 sample rate. There's other ones in there. You can go lower, but this has been the best for me. If you're running a 1600 series graphics card, you can put 60. No problem. If you are really bad with internet, like say you only got like 10 megabyte upload, I would cut this down to 30. Those frames per second really boost up how much actual data is being shoved out. And this can stop you from dropping frames and or getting really glitchy. So now we're going to backtrack into audio. And this is where you set up your mics, your other mics, what your default desktop audio is. Say if you have this boy. I don't okay, just take my word for it. It is a audio interface, and it's a Focusrite, and it's a Scarlett. So if I needed to change my desktop audio to Scarlett, it would be Focusrite USB audio. And likewise for any of your other USB audio interfaces. I am currently having problems with this guy right now, disconnecting at random when it's pumping out to the monitors. So I'm trying to see if I can get a recall on this guy, because they stopped selling it, and I think it probably got recalled. So maybe they can upgrade my Focusrite. From there, pretty much anything in here you really don't need to activate unless you're doing like a talk show or something like that, and you need to activate some audio or mute and unmute. Otherwise, you really don't need it. If you do have XLR microphones, I would definitely think about getting button press stops. So say if you are on a talk show or you are pumping into your game with that, you can just hit that button to talk instead of messing around. You can also set it up to a hotkey if you really don't want to spend the money on a button that stops your audio going out. So the sample rate for most computers is 48 hertz. It's 48 kilohertz. So it's 48,000 hertz. And that's audio quality. That's electricity, pretty much. Now, the human ear cannot hear past 112. And most audio equipment can't go that high either, because honestly, the equipment is not there with the technology, and it's really no point, because your ears will not pick up the difference unless it's extremely high-pitched, white noise, or extremely quiet. That's the only time your ears will pick up any type of designated change in audio. Otherwise, quality of audio, yes. When it's pumping out higher hertz, it's going to give you a better quality audio because it's got more sample rates. So now we're going with the actual streaming out portion of the settings. Now this stuff is important. Do not mess around in here unless you know what you're doing. So most of you are going to have one audio track, unless you want to record multiple to be able to piece it out and edit the audio for a video later. That's where you do this. When you set up the multiple audio channels, it'll save it into whatever the streaming service you have, and you may be able to, in the future, edit those audio tracks. But mainly those audio tracks are for this recording. It's for post-editing and stuff like that. So down here, if you're on a 1650 or newer, you're going to want to run the H.264 NVENC new encoder. There's another one that says old or doesn't say anything after it, and that one is horrible. The software that they use to make that encoder is so outdated that it ends up actually slowing the cards down horribly. And this new one that they made for the newer 3000 series cards actually ended up working better on the old edition cards. If you have anything older than the 1600 series, you're most likely not going to have the option to do graphics encoding. So if you go down here, you're going to want to not change this rescale output, specifically unless you're a partner on one site and you're not partner on the other. But that's where you change it in here. You set this one to exactly what your screen is, and then you set your multiple output target as 720. In the rate control section, you're going to want to be running on CBR if you're running a 1650 or newer RTX GPU. Anything newer than that, you can do VBR or looseless. VBR is a different control rate, and it really depends on what CPU you have. So if you have Ryzen, you're not going to want to use VBR. You're going to want to use lossless. Lossless is specifically for the newer cards too, and it does improve that encoding quality tenfold. I personally can't use it. Oh well. Now, the bitrate does depend on your internet, and the bitrate out for Facebook is 3500 and 5500 for Twitch once you're an affiliate, and 6000, and that's kilobytes per second, not megabytes. So 3 megabytes per second out is the maximum I can do for both streams going out. That equals 6 megs. Having the 4-ish megabytes headroom to be able to handle the game as well as anybody else on my network, I have to, or I start to lag really bad and I can't play. I've actually tried it all this week and I'm lagging hard. Then my CPU bottlenecks because it's not getting the data quick enough. So your keyframe interval needs to be 2 seconds. You do not want it to set to auto because it'll detect change. You want it to do it every 2 seconds to check for any flatline drops or frame drops. And that way it'll alert you much quicker, and it'll also alert the streaming service much quicker that you're dropping frames. So say you have the Facebook page open on the stream creator dashboard thing, it'll pop up with a message alerting you that your bit rate is going crazy, you're dropping frames, this and that. That is what that is for. So the preset needs to be max quality. You want to go for quality unless your quality is messing up. If it's messing up, I would play around with this. This is one that you could play around with, but I wouldn't go any of the super low latency quality ones for anybody that's running a computer like mine, because it will just lag and crash your computer. I blue screened a couple times when trying to run a stream on low latency performance. Crashed. Isolated that issue that it was that could not be ran. So the profile for this, and that is within Windows itself. You want a high priority profile. So it takes priority for this stream going out to take the blunt of your data. So any of the network data going out will be controlled by that, saying, oh, hey, this is more important than this other task. Send this out first. You also want to check the new 2 tabs after that, look ahead and psychovisual tuning. Psychovisual tuning is pretty much right there. So any perceived visual quality will be fixed with the GPU utilization. Look ahead will determine if you're about to lose any frames or if your B frames are more necessary than others. That's important because then you can prevent your stream going down. So if it looks ahead, it alerts you early, then you can change it so it's in even flow. You may get a black screen for a second, but then your stream will keep going instead of Facebook saying, oh, black screen, turn it off. It'll alert the streaming service to keep going. Your GPUs, I don't personally know what this GPU setting is for. I thought I was supposed to set it to 1. I guess I'm not. I learned this information from a different YouTuber. He didn't really know what the hell it was for either. A lot of people don't know what this section is for. So I set it to 0. And that's because he referred me to set it to 0 because I guess he isolated an issue that happened with setting this higher than 0. Your max B frames, and that is blocked frames before the stream crashes. So if you have like, I think 2 is for like 2,000. So you've got 2,000 frames in a row crash, black screen, it'll end your stream. And here in the recording, you can set to whatever the hell you want, to be absolutely honest. You still want to use the encoder new, and this is where it's going to be a little bit different. If you want to add more tracks, say if you want to record each one of these audios that are right here separately, this is where you put it. And then you can check them all and then assign them to certain tracks. That way you can do post-editing. Say if you're like uploading this to YouTube like I am, you can edit each individual track that's playing out. Say if I played some music and you needed it to be a little bit quieter because you couldn't hear my voice. Stuff like that. Other than that, you're going to want to just make sure everything's set to the exact same as your output so you can avoid the lowest latency for your hardware. When your hardware GPU is boosting both a recording and 2 streams out, my personal one is getting close to being capped. It sits about a 90% work overload, and that is with the card overclocked. So with older cards, you got to be careful for what you do in here, because if you overdo it, you could fry your card. And you don't want to do that. You don't have much money as is. Now in this section, you want to set the default audio bitrate to 128. And that is the maximum for pretty much any streaming service unless you have partner. When you have partner, you can unlock 320. But it's kind of pointless because even when you're still buffering and loading, it's going to dumb down the quality. Facebook's actually maxes 96, and it will dumb it down. Facebook dumbs everything of quality down. They've always done it. In the last tab of the advanced mode for output is the replay buffer, and you want to make sure it's off. If you have this on, it's going to be buffering, so it's going to end up using more of your GPU's resources, the memory, and slow you down. So that is it with the settings. I'm going to show you one more thing within settings, but it is more of a topic itself, and that is hotkeys. Hotkeys save my life. If you see things like this, let's give you a little test. If you see things like this, that is caused by my hotkeys. So let's do this. Since you can see my face right here, I'm going to click this little video off. Go back to house sessions. And there we go. Hit transition. And have my face right there. The joys of working within OBS. Now these hotkeys, they are subjective to what games you're playing. Do not do 2 key hotkeys. Most of the time, the games that you're playing have 2 key hotkeys, and they're gonna get crossed with whatever you want to do. Personally, I have effects with Xbox app, the NVIDIA control panel within games popping up. Both the Xbox app and the NVIDIA control panel are on the same damn hotkey. So when I set it up to do Control G to switch my scene, it just opened both of them and didn't even change my scene. So you gotta be mindful of what keys you're putting in. So that is why I go with a Control Alt and then a number as a failsafe. 3 keys normally aren't going to be around for anything that's in here. I have a number pad on my keyboard. It's a full-size keyboard plus the numbers. So I like to use the number pad. Control Alt, number pad. So this first one is just a basic transition, and that is strictly for if you're transitioning within studio mode. And it's going to be whatever is assigned to this mode. So this I have set as a stinger. So it will give a stinger unless I have it set otherwise. I do have another plugin I can recommend while we're doing this. So DevoX. So view. Where is it? Yeah, see right here. Transition Override Matrix. This is another plugin that's on OBS, but it allows you to set the transitions manually. So say you have a stinger transition that has your logo in it and you don't want your logo to pop up every time. You want to do different transitions without having to manually change this guy right here, this scene transition. You do it in here. So that is why when you see me go for the test screen, has that transition. But if I go into an intermission screen, say like this one, it just fades. And that's pretty much all it does. Handles transitions. Alrighty, the last hotkeys that I had to mention were the ones specifically on each scene. Say you need to change the scene in here where this preview window is, and I'm about to explain what this is. This is studio mode. So when you are in studio mode, it gets a preview for you before you send it off to the stream. And that's kind of why I've been doing it just like this, so I can show you how to do it. So I have my scene set up 789 with the control keys, Control Alt. So Control Alt, there's my intermission screen. It doesn't load up until you actually transition it, but I have my transition set up to Control Alt 0. So now that it's on the preview window, and now that I do Control Alt 0, it will transition. Feel me? Awesome. And then that one's a ending screen. This is my in-game, and that's my intermission. That's it. This is very helpful for when you're doing live streams that is not directly on your face, or you're not recording your screen, of course, and you can just move your camera, do a little fade transition, and it'll fade the camera into a different part of the screen. You can do that all live on the fly. Really good for people that are doing these live music production stuff, and they have somebody that's just sitting in front of a computer managing the lights and the live stream. And that's a huge thing for people like that. And obviously, I have decks right here. I get down, and it's come in handy. So overall, guys, I hope it has been a great day for you. I hope I was able to help you in some type of way. Here's my information. Do what you with it. DevoX out.